Welcome to Everyone's a Millionaire podcast. This is a good one here. And this is okay if it's lengthy, because this is really, this is actually my favorite question of all of these questions here today. What advice would you give your younger self to get where you are quicker? Right? You've been through a lot and you're very successful. And at one point, you were super successful as a tennis pro, but probably not financially successful at that point in time. Maybe.
Right.
But, if you were just getting started out, Alan, this is you talking to you, my friend. What would you tell yourself just getting started to get where you're at right now? And let's say, I don't know, 50 or 60% of the time. What would be that advice?
Great question. I love this. This show's amazing, David.
Thank you, man.
So there's a saying, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. I would consider telling myself we did pretty well buying things at a pretty young age, but I would, once I realized it was possible to buy more than one, to buy more than two, to own more than three, there's a lot of full-grown adults that don't realize you can actually have three mortgages. It's banks will actually lend to you.
I got 46 of them today.
There you go. And are we proud of how much debt we have? No, we're proud of the net worth and the equity and the cash flow. Equity is not real money, right? But we're proud of the cash flow. And I'd rather have sometimes people kind of downplay equity. It's like a theme I've heard these last couple of years. And it's like, well, what would you rather have the opposite? Would you rather have negative equity?
No, not yeah. I mean, ownership is my key to wealth. There's lots of ways to create wealth, but my personal key is ownership.
Yes. So maybe, like I said, I think we did a pretty good job, but coming from where we came from, and I'm not going to say I'm from the other side of the tracks, but I'll say this. I set a goal when I was 21 years old to make more money than my parents that year. And it was because it was a very attainable goal.
Sure.
So I'll say it like that. I mean, my dad still lives in the three bedroom, 1-bath house that me and my two sisters were, born and raised in. So I don't, when you coming from there, I think we did pretty well. We started at a pretty young age, making sure that we lived on a budget and always made more than what we lived on. Or I should say, we always lived on less than what we made.
Sure.
And I think we did a pretty good job at that. I would call that like the old Ramsey stuff. And then I would say, I think we've done a pretty good job at the Kiyosaki's. He was probably my next mentor. He didn't realize it, but I think we did a pretty good job at that from a pretty good, 22, 23, 24 years old. So
what's the advice though? Let's get to it, brother. What's that advice?
I probably would have set a little bit more ambitious goals on the real estate side. I was very interested in business. I was very interested in building businesses, being an entrepreneur. I probably would have bought more things. I think people don't understand the compounding effect of ownership. We have made a lot of money on properties that we own for 10, 11, 12, 15 years, et cetera.
Sometimes 10, 11, 12, 15 months. I've never met somebody, Alan, that says, I wish I would have bought less real estate. Have you ever met somebody that said that ever one time?
Never met him. And I've been working with some clients of mine recently. It's just sometimes we just need to be reminded. And so and maybe I need a better way of saying this, but you just said it very well. There's thousands, there's tens of thousands of people that they all say the same thing. So when you find someone who says, I bought too many. Now, if they bought too many things and they paid full-blown retail, and then there's a dip, and then they can't keep the rent houses full.
That's a lesson. It's a seminar. They're going to recover.
I have heard that. Okay. But this is what I'm not saying be reckless. And you're not saying that either.
Nope.
We're just saying if you can buy more things, buy more things.
At discounted property. Yeah, discounts.
Exactly. If you can buy more discounted real estate, you do it. So if I would have known that, or maybe here's a big one, David. I don't know about you. When I realized I was over 10 years into my real estate journey before I realized you could buy off-market properties.
Same. I was 10 years in before I learned that. Alan Biel is the real deal here, folks. It took me 10 years to learn that too, brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, marketing and sales. If I had known that it was possible to go pave your own way, to make your own deals happen, to get into more conversations, figure out how to, and I think this applies to every business, David. If your strategy is to wait around for things to come to you, then you may be in for the long, you better be in for the long haul, because that's what it's going to require.
Yep. Absolutely. Alan, this has been an amazing podcast. Thank you so much for coming on, just being in my life and being such an awesome friend and just crushing it and just sharing this. You know, this podcast is